How's everybody doing? I know it says there's no people here right now. A little iced tea. How you doing, Pop? Dad,
What?
how are you doing?
You're alive.
All right, that's important. That's important. How's everybody doing? Hi, Caroline. Uh, Good afternoon, Silver Fox. It is about 12:40 here, and it's just me and my dad. Danielle's at a couple soccer games, and Mark is going to come over like at 1:30 and spell me so I can take a walk. So I figured I'd jump on before Mark gets here. How you doing in South Carolina? You know, interesting. I just had a couple of missionaries just came to the door. Mormon missionaries. These are two girls. I mean, they must be 17, 18, 19 years old. Sweet kids. And I always, it's very tough, to do that, to go door to door for anything. I did it when I was a kid selling, like house cleaning services or window washing, or even when I was younger, weeding and stuff. But, what struck me about this is, it's these two young girls, clearly, just sweet kids, right? And they're off, in a different state. And, like today, it's just me and my dad here and just two men, right? And so they came to the front door, and I want to treat them like if my kids were out the way I would want other people to treat my kids. So, I'm all, you guys need some water, or what do you need? And I just ended up just walking outside with them and around to the garage and getting some water and some pomegranates from the tree. But, I would have been really uncomfortable bringing in two, really young girls like that into my house with just two men. And I was thinking, man, I hope they're not ever uncomfortable or, put in uncomfortable situations. I don't know how the church handles that. I don't know if there's people like monitoring, who goes where and how long they were in there. People come check up on them. I'm not sure, but they were, they didn't have any issues at all. They were just sweet, outgoing kids. But I was not going to bring them in the house with two grown men. So we just did it outside. How's everybody else doing? Asante from South Africa. Oh, thanks, Daniel. I appreciate that. How you doing in Kentucky, Rose? Kentucky Rose, is that the name of a horse maybe that won the Derby, which is in Kentucky? Did you think they could be models? I didn't. They're not. These are just girls. They're following what they've been told to do and what they've learned, and they're out doing it with all their heart, and I respect that they're out following their heart and doing what they believe is right in their hearts. So I do respect it. Yeah, Pop, how are you doing, Dad?
I'm doing okay.
All right.
What's going on?
Nothing. People are asking about you. People care about you, Pop. I'm on with a bunch of people, and they all care about you, Dad. That's all.
They care about me.
They care about you.
Why would they care about me?
Dad, a lot of people in this world care about you, believe it or not.
A lot of people on the what?
A lot of people in this world care about you and care about how you're doing. You got a lot of friends on this world, Dad. You got a lot of friends.
Okay. Well, that's great.
Oh, you have these girls were from Utah and Minnesota, so it wasn't too far. They're not too far from home, but I could imagine going all the way to Japan or to South America or Asia or Africa. That's quite a trek for a young kid to go out. How you doing, Nicole? We are watching. It's funny. What am I going to put on? We put on Raiders of the Lost Ark. One of them. I don't remember which one, but my dad likes the action. I turned the sound down, which doesn't affect him much because he doesn't really follow the sound. But you can see he's watching the action. So we came across this, and I kind of watch his face as I'm going through different channels to gauge his interest. Because if I ask him, he's going to say, "That's fine, whatever you want, whatever you want." And so I just watch his face, and when he locks on, that's where I stay on the channel. So we're we're watching Indiana Jones and something or other. And Andrea, they have been. I haven't watched one, like sat down and watched one in decades, but I remember, those in Star Wars were, I mean, to me, my God, those were the height of movies. He is not asleep. He's actually been awake all day and doing pretty good. He's drinking a lot. Pop, take a drink.
What?
Take another drink. Take another drink.
What does that do?
It keeps you hydrated. Keeps you hydrated. Go ahead, Pop. He's watching that. And watching him to get him to drink and drink and drink and drink. What's really cool is since the last UTI, we have really, because he has a procedure coming up in 9 days. 9 days is this procedure, and he's going to be under anesthesia. And I really want him to be in the best possible shape. So, and the worst thing that could happen is an infection between now and then, which could derail the procedure. And God knows how long it would be to get set up again. So we are working him to drink. We are making sure that he is, he's on the toilet four or five times a day. So there's never any chance of anything getting in the diaper. We're just really pushing. And then if we can get past this procedure, and get that catheter out, then maybe we can have a longer period of time where we might be able to see a little incremental improvement if there's not another downturn. But we've got to get through that procedure first. And that procedure I'm starting to get nervous. We're 9 days away. In 4 days, we take him off his Plavix. Yeah, the catheter. So he'll have the procedure, and the procedure is almost 100%. He will be able to urinate on his own after this procedure. That is unless there's some kind of complication during the procedure or something. But the procedure will work. The real question is, how is he going to come out of the anesthesia? I saw it last time with the hip, and I've never quite, I was in the recovery room because they had to have someone there to gauge whether he was, at his old baseline or close to it, because he's completely delirious and doesn't make any sense. And they have no idea what his baseline is. So I was there like right after he got out of surgery, and you see the buzzers are all going off, beep, 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 beep. I'm watching his blood ox go down, and I'm like sticking the thing on his face to get his oxygen in his nose. And they're kind of like, just tell us, is he baseline, and then get the hell out of here. We don't want you in here messing around. But when you're a kid and you see blood ox start, 92, 91, you start to tighten. I'm not used to seeing that. The nurses are, and they know, but it's almost like every time you come out of surgery, if you, let's say, just touch and go. And so I'm getting a little bit of nervous just remembering the last time. We're doing the cranberry thing, Stella. In his cereal every day, he's getting cranberry bits. So we're doing everything we can do, every trick in the book, whether they're scientifically proven or not. We're just going for it, because what's it going to hurt if he has a little extra cranberry? So we're going for it. And there he is. Pop, how are you doing, Dad?
Oh, I haven't felt anything.
Why don't you drink a little more, Pop? Take another drink.
I don't need another thing.
I know you say that. And so I got to go get more popsicles, because not only do we load him with drinks, but popsicles all day long. Yes, there's sugar. We've cut out his other dessert, so he's not getting. And when you get a popsicle, it's not like eating a big ton at once and having your blood sugar spike. If he has a popsicle every couple of hours, it kind of keeps him in keeps everything kind of steady. And that's what we're shooting for. Kay, I will be watching football for sure, and believe me, I tried some football games to see if I could get him interested, but this is what he locked onto. But when I'm done here and I get back from my walk, I'll be watching football. Could you run faster than Ed in his prime? Probably. I think I might have been faster, but he might have been able to get me on endurance because this man, until he was like 70 years old, would run 2.5 miles a day, and then he continued to walk well into his 80s, his upper 80s. He was walking every day. In fact, the first day he moved into this house, the very first day, and I made a video about it. We went on a 1 mile walk. The very first day he moved in here 5 years ago, and now we walk from the bed to the table, from the table to here, and to the bathroom and back. It's quite a lot has happened in 5 years. Oh, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. I just take care of him, you know, the way I would take. It's just the way anyone would take care of their father, I think. Jason, he does not. We stopped doing the switch about 2 years ago because it became too difficult for him. From one place to the next, just we became too confusing for him. So Notorious, he's having surgery. It's a procedure that is voluntary, right? But he has a catheter in right now. And that catheter is there because he just cannot release on his own. And he's had an enlarged prostate for long before he had dementia. He was peeing 5 or 6 times a night, always bitching about it. And I had to pee 5 times last night. So this is a problem that's been predates dementia. And since the surgery with a little extra swelling and however they manipulated that surgery, the prostate is just blocking the bladder. And they're going to go into that prostate and they're going to grind out the inside, kind of like you might grind out the inside of a grapefruit or something, right? And then it's going to just kind of be nothing. And so there's nothing there to stop the urine from just naturally draining out of the bladder via gravity. Controls will be a different issue. We have no idea whether there'll be incontinence or not. We'll deal with it either way. But the reason we want to really get that out, not only is it really deleterious to his body, it's not good. I'm going to talk about it, but you have something through your urethra and it's swinging around for months and months. It starts to affect things. So I think he'll be a lot more comfortable after this procedure, whether he is be able to make it to the bathroom on time or whether it's through a diaper, whichever. And it really will reduce the risk of UTI, which he's just been getting one after the other. And those UTIs are really a danger. They're bringing them down because the antibiotics are not good for the organs, the kidneys specifically. He did not teach there. He's been in gear from all. We like to promote education. So anybody who's ever sent a college sweatshirt from their alma mater, we put him in them on a regular basis. So my dad went to Cal Berkeley and to podiatry school in San Francisco, but we respect all higher learning institutions. So we will, anybody who sent one or sends one, we're gonna put it on them. Oh, Stephen, your dad. Yeah, your dad was a doctor. I remember you telling me that. So he was a urologist then. How you doing in Holland? Did we get any? We got zero trick or treaters, and we had candy, but we live at the very end of a long court of houses where it's a long walk to get up the driveway and around to the front door. So, most kids that are like live in the area, they will go into a different area where the houses are closer together, and it makes collecting candy a lot easier. We used to get trick-or-treaters like 10 years ago. Maybe the doorbell would ring 2 or 3 times and a group of 10 people would be there and we'd hand out candy. But last night, I don't know, there's a lot going on. I don't know if anybody was even trick-or-treating in our neighborhood, but I miss that too. When I grew up, Halloween was my favorite holiday. Duh, especially from a family where, they did not give us candy on a regular basis. It was not something that was in our house. They went the healthy route, so we loved Halloween. I remember my fear from October 1st all the way was, I hope it doesn't rain on Halloween. I hope it doesn't. That probably made me more religious and spiritual than anything. Please, God, don't let it rain on Halloween. Yeah, it's a 2 acre property and the house is back, about halfway on the property. So it's a good trek to get up here. My favorite horror film would have to be The Exorcist. Alan, not much is the same from when we grew up. 4th of July, the fireworks and those holidays when I was growing up, man, it's good to be a kid. I'll tell you, it's good to be a kid. Haunted houses are still fun, absolutely. I'm just Californian. I've had some dental work done, which may affect my accent. I have a little nicotine thing in, which may affect my accent, but it's really California. And a lot of people think I have a weird accent, but I'm not quite sure why. I'm not quite sure if I contribute to that, the way I try and pronunciate or what have you. But Marta, absolutely. Has he ever been in a fist fight? Has my dad ever been in a fist? My dad is not a fighter. I will tell you this, though. My dad was a powerful man, and not that he would ever fight, but, when I was 18, 19, 17, 18, 19, and I was, playing football and working out all the time, I remember tussling with him. Like, I think it was, I wanted to go somewhere in a car or bar, and he didn't want me to go, and, and it got physical. And I will tell you that even, he's 36 years older than me. So he had to be, damn near 50, damn near my age. And I was in my prime as a teenager, and I couldn't handle that man. He was tough. My dad was a strong man. Does he like shaving or me? I hate it. And Danielle's the one who shaves him. He manhandled me, not in a, throw me down or anything, but just, like get out of the way. And, he was I'm not going to move my dad out of the way if he's trying to block me for something. I could probably do it now, but not then, that's for sure. My dad played football, and he was a really good football player. He quit football to play the trumpet. He wanted to be on the field at halftime with the band. And his little brother, Bill, the one that you've heard about if you watch the channel, it told me the story about when Bill was coming up, a year behind me. He was 1 or 2 years behind him, maybe 1 year. And the coach went to Bill and said, "You got to get your brother to come out and play. You got to get your brother to come out and play." And Bill tried to get him, and he wouldn't come out. And Bill was pissed because I think he would have got a little more playing time if my dad was out there. Thank you, Marsha. I appreciate that. Yeah, please hit the thumbs up. It's much appreciated. One thing that I made sure I taught my kids, that's a great question. And I'll tell you, I think I have an answer. And these kind of things came from my mom, not my dad. I grew up with my mom, and I think my morals kind of rolled down from my mom. And she was very, she loved her grandparents who were very moral people. I'm named after her grandfather, who she described as a mensch. He would give the shoes off his feet if there was somebody who needed it. So the one thing that, that I would tell my kids, and I would tell anybody, is the most important thing in the world with you and as a human being is how you treat other people. Not just your family. How do you treat the missionaries that showed up at my door, half an hour ago? How do you treat people in the supermarket? How do you treat people on the street? Even people asking for money, I'm never going to mock them. I may, not look, but I'm never going to. How you treat people defines who you are, not what you say, not giving compliments, not saying I love you or, saying the right things. It's doing the right things that are important to me. And that's all I look at. I don't care who you voted for. And that's been a real thing for me. I don't look down on anybody who voted differently if I can see that they're good people by the way they treat people, especially people that may not agree with them. So that's a lesson that I hope my kids will pick up. Really, every interaction you have with somebody can be a positive experience and leave them a little better for the day. And every time you do that, you're not going to be lower. you're going to slowly come up too. It's I wouldn't say karma, but it is. It feeds off itself. It feeds off itself. What are my thoughts on the shutdown? I'm worried about the things like the SNAP benefits. At this point, I'm worried about, the government employees that may not be able to pay their rent. So a message that I would throw out to any landlord, if you are the landlord of a government worker, they're going to get their back pay at some point. So please, just waive the late fees and just wait, with the rest of us till the government opens and then get your rent. Restaurants, if you want to offer special deals to government employees, I think that would be a great idea too. I hope the government opens up, and I hope that nobody is deprived of their SNAP benefits. That bothers me. That people are hungry, and I don't know what percentage of the people that receive them 100% depend on them, but I know that there's many that do. And the thought of somebody being hungry because of a government shutdown is distasteful to me. I saw that it was a couple of judges who ordered the SNAP benefits to continue, and I hope that they just do it. I hope it just we're not gonna go after people's food, for a political statement or a political whatever. And I'm not talking sides. I don't give a damn what side you're on. You do what's right. If you're talking about ideology and hunger in the same, there's something off there, right? No ideology should be against food for poor people. No ideology should be against that. Dos Coyotes employee, thank you, Gabriel. I love Dos Coyotes. In fact, I'm probably going to be there this weekend at some point. I certainly will give him a hug and a kiss. He is. I mean, my dad shocked me. I will tell you, when the day that he broke his hip. So we are, it's 5 in the morning and I'm just half asleep. It happened. We called the ambulance and I'm following the ambulance. I'm still surreal. I get to the ER and of course I got to wait at that point. And I started looking up, what's the prognosis for somebody who's 93 with advanced dementia who has a broken hip? And what I found was just god awful. I mean, I was just sinking. I didn't know how he was doing. I'm in the waiting room and I'm reading this that it's just they don't have good results most of the time. And so I'm just sitting there thinking, what am I going to do? And I just came to the conclusion, I don't know what's going to happen, but and I know my life is going to change dramatically, and it did. But I just said, we're going to do the best we can, and we're going to be the exception. He's gonna get through it. And, we were in the hospital over his birthday, and my goal was to make it to his next birthday. And if we can do that, we beat the odds. And yes, he is strong. I mean, that's why he's here. We get a lot of credit, you're taking great care of him. But the bottom line is you can't, no matter how great a caregiver you are, you can't extend somebody's life. That's him. That's his desire. That's his chemistry. And he is a strong, strong man. Anthony, that's just, I mean, maybe in his mind, maybe in his mind. I don't know. Dad sweatshirt. So those have been all sent to him over the last 5 years. He's got the biggest clothes collection of anybody I know, is him. He's much better than my ward. You see me in the same drapey old shirts all the time. But, if I really need, if it's a special occasion or I need to do something, I'll go into his room and pull one of the, hundreds of clean shirts he's got, which someday we're going to turn that into a collection. And, from the different areas of people that have sent that to him, we're going to make sure that that's memorialized somehow. Does he wake up in the middle of the night scared and confused? So, not really, but sometimes if I hear him stirring, we'll walk in and he's maybe agitated at night. He doesn't, because he doesn't understand what's going on, and I'll, very easy to reassure him and ease his mind. But we've been really lucky at night since really I don't know, 3 weeks, a month after the surgery, he's been sleeping through the night. And, it's been a godsend. And before the surgery, he was getting up, and it was when he got up one time that he fell, but he was getting up quite a bit and, making trips to the bathroom and whatnot. What you doing, Pop? Took that up? You want a drink?
No, I'll
You want this on?
have it.
I'll put this on for you. You can take a drink. You drink it right here, Pop. Take a drink because you need some liquid. You need to hydrate. Okay, I have lost weight. I will tell you, it looks like I've lost weight, and I know I've lost weight because I can feel it. But I stepped on the scale. I don't know. I hadn't stepped on the scale in like 6 months, and I stepped on like a week ago, and that was a mistake. I thought I was making a lot more progress than I am, but I feel better, and I know that I'm losing it. I don't know why maybe that scale's off. I don't know. My dad still is a podiatrist. He's just not practicing too cool, but he still and always will be a doctor, a yawning doctor. Does my dad like baseball and softball? Zoe, my dad will watch sports with me and Mark and because his kids love sports. I think he could care less. We watch the World Series, and he'll watch it because he's with his kids, and that's all that's important to him. The 49ers, and he kind of likes the camaraderie, and it gets lively. But on his own, if he was sitting in his own room, probably not. Probably wouldn't be watching that stuff. 110. Mark should be here anytime. Matthew, I've got a couple videos of us watching the World Series. A couple on right here on the tube, and on I think there's a 7-minute one. And yeah, he was lucid at night watching the World Series. When Danielle was gone, so he and I were just hanging out together watching. Yes, he still acts like my father, and you can see that if you ever watch our lives when I'm drinking beer. Never fails, Yeah, I shouldn't drink too much of that, Don't drink too much of that. When I am, sporting a few pounds, he's not shy to let me know. And he's a father. If he's eating and he doesn't know whether I've eaten, it's like he's always ready to push his food. Do you want any? Or I bring him home 2 hamburgers from Carl's Jr. That's what he's always eating. A couple just junior hamburgers. I put 2 down in front of him. He'll push 1 to me, and I have to go, no, Dad, I already ate. So he is absolutely still my father, and I'm absolutely still his son. That's never changed. It never will change. I mean, we are always going to be father and son. Dad,
Yeah,
what you doing there?
I put my pants together here.
Am I your son, Pop?
What?
Am I your son?
Yes.
I'm your favorite son, right?
I only have how many sons do I have?
Well, you got 6 kids, Pop. 5 sons and 1 daughter. You got a lot of kids, Pop.
I should.
Yeah.
I like them.
I know you like them. Tim, I didn't see the good question. Did you ever hear? Yes, Pat. He wore hearing aids for decades until he got sick, and then that was it. And it's hard for people to understand. But imagine if you have memory issues, right? And you kind of, it's not just memory. It's it's a full brain thing. It's kind of like being in a little bit of a fog, and all of a sudden you discovered something in your ear, and you didn't know what it was. And it's making noises or hissing, every 5 minutes when we tried to keep him in, he'd be taking it out, he'd be flipping, the batteries would fall on the floor. And those batteries, if a dog ate a battery, that's could be really serious. So the bottom line is he has not been able to keep hearing aids in since before he moved in here. It just, the disease, that was one of the first things it did. And that made the entire process that much more difficult, as you see in the videos. Stop yelling. Well, if I don't yell, he's not going to hear me. And so our house has definitely become louder. Cedric, my dad was there for me my whole life. If I was ever in trouble, it's a nice feeling to have as a kid. If if I go down, and I was definitely not always on the right track, but I knew that my parents would always be there for me, both of them. And that is a comfort. I always knew if something happened that I had a room at my dad's house or whatever. Was he affectionate? No, not, not hugging. And again, it was more the way he acted. And, if I needed something, he was there. When I got a ticket for wearing when I was like 17 or 18, wearing headphones, and and I didn't go to court for that ticket, and the judge issued a warrant. And I don't know, 8 months later, I'm playing basketball at some dunk school where you can dunk the basketball. And it was a Sunday, and I parked my car right at the end. There's no cars there. Cop pulled up. He's all, "You're in a red zone." I'm all, "Hey, I think I have a warrant out there." He's all, "Ah, you do?" And he took me in for 6 hours on a $500 warrant for failure to appear. And guess who was there at 11 o'clock that night to pick me up? Both. They've been divorced, right? And both of them were there. And wasn't a serious thing, but it just shows yeah, your kid gets arrested. Both my parents were there at 11 o'clock, and I know it was a Sunday night because the school was closed, and I watched the 49er game from the little holding cell. So it was a Sunday. So on a work night, both my parents were there at 11 o'clock to pick me up. Rising Tides Outreach, thank you. I've seen your videos. Thank you. I love calling him America's grandpa. And he's not asleep. Pop, what are you doing?
What?
What are you doing, Pop? You trying to pick some? So I forgot to put his bib on this morning for breakfast. And so he's got stuff that's like caked on his thing right now. He's trying to pick off the food that fell because I forgot to put the bib on it. I appreciate that, Richard. I really do. Hi, Kyle. So my dad, we realized that he had something going on. Let me just, this has been a topic the last couple of days. I did a radio show and I talked about the first symptoms, how do you know? And you'll be able to tell. If you're worried about a parent or an uncle or a grandparent, it's more than just memory loss, right? It's other things, personality changes, and there will be behaviors that you will know without a doubt there's something going on. It's not, I can't find my keys, I forgot to pay that bill. Those are normal things. When you do something that's out of the ordinary for your personality, in addition to all those things, or, not recognize something that you've seen every day for the last 15 years, then something is going on. This is the weirdest population in here. It jumps 200 people, like from 700 to 1,000 to 600, jumps all around really fast. Music is a great way, and music, I've seen some amazing things with music. People who are non-responsive, that do not communicate, suddenly if you turn music on, not only do they remember the words, but they're singing in key and in tune. It's amazing. Unfortunately, because of my dad's hearing loss, music is not a great tool for us. Joe, I believe that he still enjoys life. I believe that every day I try and make him laugh. He sees his family. He looks forward to it. He enjoys it when they come over. That will be a sad time if we ever lose enjoyment. That's one of our priorities. It's not just to have somebody exist, but to have him live. And I think you can see right now, of course, we're not out playing basketball in front of the house, but I think you can see that he's content with where he is in life right now, and that he is certainly not uncomfortable. He's not in pain. And my brother's coming over. He's going to see him. He's going to perk up for a little while. I believe that he enjoys life. And if that ever changes, then my outlook will change. But again, our goal is not existence, it's life. And he's drinking life into him right now, which is great. Pops is 93, Great White. Goldie, we talked about hearing aids. He no longer tolerates them. It's an impossibility at this point. It would make our life a lot easier, believe me. He was living by himself, and I'm gonna be testifying to not testifying, speaking to a governmental committee for the Department of Aging next week. I think on the 6th. I think it's next week, and I'm going to tell my story to them. And ironically, the caregiving started. We were actually caregivers, even though we didn't know it, long before he ever moved in with us, because we were taking him to his appointments. He had stopped driving. We took the car away, but he lived for like a year and a half in a house alone, even after he stopped driving. But we were there every single day, and and making sure that he was at his appointments, he had clean clothes, that he was eating, had food in. And then one day he had a bruise, pretty pronounced bruise, and he didn't know where he got it. We knew that he obviously fell, and that was it. That was the last day he lived on his own. It was just out of the blue, just like this happens out of the blue. Your life changes in one single day, and you may not have known it was going to change when you wake up that morning. But that certainly happened the day that he fell and moved in with Mark, and it happened the day that he fell and broke his hip. Those were life-changing events. He's thankfully his appetite is there. Takes him longer to eat now because of his physical coordination, but he finishes his food. My dad did not serve in any. He served in the Marine Corps band for a year, but he was born in 32, so that made him 13 at the time that World War II was ending. And by the time the Korean War came, he was in podiatry school, and I believe was probably exempted because of that. And just from the time he was born, it just was the perfect time to miss any active conflicts. He just is aged out. My dad did not watch. I don't know. I know my grandparents' shows like Lawrence Welk and things like that